Hey, do you guys remember back during the Pride days, we had one of the biggest fights back then, Fedor Emelianenko versus Mirko Krop? What made that fight so special, guys, and I think some old heads know, was that it was a legacy fight for MMA, That was one of the first super mega fights to happen in the sport. It pushed MMA for the better because we had some great fights on that card. It made it so MMA can actually compete with other sports, and it just pushed the sport to be better and bigger. Now, fast forward to 2026, that same sport that we were just talking about is now going to be at the lawn of the White House with the president who was in the Epstein files. Okay, just a heads up, I know that Strickland is not technically banned. Apparently, he's actually going to be able to go to the event. I'm still including that in the video. I just want everybody to know that I am aware of that. Before we go any further with this video, guys, because I know this will definitely piss off a lot of people. This is a very controversial, video I'm going to make here. I just want to make it clear that this type of video that I'm doing will never happen again after this. I do not like talking about this type of subject when it comes to politics. I think it just leaves a negative outlook on where we are as a country and where the sport is going at this point, since the two things are merging into one at this point, given with this whole UFC Freedom 250 thing. It's just promotions for our government, our politics, and where we are as a country. I think it's ridiculous, and I think there's no better example than what's happening today. This video is taking a little bit longer for me to record. I kind of messed it up from my previous recording, so I'm re-recording it. UFC Freedom 250 is essentially a gift to Donald Trump as a birthday to hopefully boost his popularity and to help his ego. I'm just gonna say how it is. Yes, people are gonna be like, oh well, you're clearly a hater on Donald Trump since this card is actually meant to celebrate the US Army's birthday. No, the US military did not form in 1776, which would be 250 years ago. It actually formed in 1775, which was 251 years ago, so therefore the UFC is lying, and it should actually be UFC Freedom 251. Going back to Freedom 250, the reason why it's a birthday gift, here's a fun fact for you guys. Did you know that Donald Trump's birthday is also on June 15th, the same day as the U.S. Army's birthday? Almost as if they call it's the U.S. Army's anniversary, so they could simply just get away with the fact that it is also on Donald Trump's birthday, since Dana White and Donald Trump are best buddies. So it would make total sense, man, to just have a super stacked card with some of the best fighters in the world, like Ilya, Alex, O'Malley, to have those guys on this card, and fight on a card that is supposedly supposed to celebrate the U.S.'s Army's 251 birthday. It totally makes sense it's that rather than Donald Trump's birthday, but that's just a guess, I'm kind of rambling when it comes to that, but hey, I don't want to go too much deeper into that, otherwise I might get in trouble like Sean Strickland did when he criticized Israel's role and the U.S. government when it comes to them supporting Israel and all this stuff that's going on in the world. Let me ask you guys, if you were the government and Sean Strickland was talking about all this stuff, what would be your response to something like this? A, you do nothing. B, you criticize Strickland, but you don't do nothing again. Or C, you get him banned. Well, apparently the government chose option C because Strickland got banned during the event. Now, as I'm recording this, I do want to say that Strickland actually did not get banned, apparently. Dana clarified and said that he was simply not invited, but that's tomato at this point. The damage is done. The damage has already been done. People were already criticizing the UFC for this, how this goes against the freedom of speech with our government and our constitution, how we can criticize any country we want to, but the moment that we criticize Israel and what they're doing to our country, influencing it, and what they're doing to people across the world, murdering people, bombing civilians, no, we gotta punish our only male American champion, We gotta punish the only guy that is our active American champion. Okay, technically that's not true. Before Strickland became the champion, we did have Kayla Harrison, but she was fighting in the female division. When people say banning the only American champion, they're referring to the male division, which is kind of just like not really actually being like saying the truth. When you say Strickland's the only American champion we have, it's not true. Kayla Harrison was the only actual American champion before Strickland got the belt against Kamzat, but that's besides the point. No, of course we have to ban Strickland, because why would we let somebody criticize our best buddy, basically our 51st state, you know? Have Israel be our 51st state before Puerto Rico, you know? Of course we have to do that. The funniest part about Strickland not being able to go to this event when it's to celebrate America is the fact that I just said he's the only American champion we have on the roster, including Kayla Harrison. And as well, this also came after Justin Gaethje and Sean Strickland were starting to talk shit to one another after Gaethje basically said, "You're not a real American," and all this bullshit. I have the pictures up. You guys can read all of them. It's just absolutely hilarious and just pathetic when you look at Justin Gaethje, man. Talking all this stuff when you know you're gonna get flatlined by Ilia Topuria. Not to mention as well, he was also wearing an ICE logo on his hoodie a couple of days ago. I'll just put that on screen as well. I don't know what to say with you, Gaethje. You know, like, you're basically like you're basically destroying your fan base, you know, kissing the wall of Jerusalem and as well supporting ICE on what they're doing. You know, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, man. Listen, I have my mixed opinions when it comes to Strickland, but at the end of the day, when you have your only American champion available, you should invite him to promote the fact that you have an American champion rather than not inviting him. Like, come on now. And all because he was criticizing Israel. Guess free speech doesn't matter anymore, I guess. As well, I want to also rant about the fact that this entire promotion for the White House card has essentially been done by AI. I mean, you look at these videos, man, they're just so, like, lazy and just corporate slap, man. Like, you're telling me you couldn't get Pereira, Gaethje, Ilia, and Ciryl Gane to just show up at the Lincoln Memorial to do a set, like, filming? I mean, you're a billion-dollar company, and you can't even bother to get these guys to just do a little, like, filming to promote one of the biggest fights in MMA history. As well, you know, the UFC just using AI for the McGregor and Holloway thing. That's another topic maybe one day I'll talk about, but we'll talk about that fight when it gets there. You know, just the UFC using AI, just being so lazy, man. It's just such a slap in the face to all the people that put hard work into making posters, like promotional trailers. It's just a slap in their face, man. As fans who love the UFC and MMA, it's just so, like, disheartening. I think what makes this whole White House card really sting to me as an MMA fan is just the fact that, like, we've gone to the point where we're not even, like, doing something when it comes to MMA. We're just having MMA fights for stuff outside of MMA. Having this whole White House card on June 14th, which isn't even, like, then you have this whole White House card, which is to celebrate America's history and just the fighting stuff. You know, the whole White House thing just doesn't seem like it has a clear point of view. Like I said, it seems like it's supposed to celebrate the U.S.'s Army's birthday, which, okay, but here's the thing that makes it so weird. If you're also supposed to celebrate America's history, why not do it on July 4th? Literally America's birthday. Like, come on now, it makes so much more sense. And the fact that normally almost every single MMA event that the UFC does, besides, like, Road to the UFC, they all do it on a Saturday. No issue. July 4th, this July 4th, is also on a Saturday. The UFC could have literally put this event on July 4th to celebrate America's birthday, but no, we have to do it on June 14th because, let's be real, it's Donald Trump's birthday and they can just get away with it because they're saying it's to celebrate the U.S. Army's birthday. And, you know, I'm gonna just, like, talk about with this whole celebrating Donald Trump's birthday because, like, why are we doing this for a man that was in the Epstein files, who was grooming children and, like, touching minors and sexually assaulting women and all that stuff, and just doing horrible things? Like, why are we doing this? You can't even, like, I don't know how you can really justify this because, like, if you just look into it just a little bit deep, you'll realize that it's just so bullshit, and at least some fans know this. Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about how ridiculous this is. Why are we celebrating a man that is in the Epstein files like so much, like almost 40,000 times his names are in the files? I'll tell you why. This event is essentially just to try and cover up the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. It's a way to distract the people, like the Iran war, like this event, like all the other like just nonsense bullshit that Trump is doing, just so people don't look at the fact that he touched minors and sexually assaulted them. You know, going back to what I was just talking about at the beginning of this video with Fedor Emelianenko versus Mirko Cro Cop, I butchered that, I know, I'm sorry. Going back to that fight, man, that fight, I don't know why, it just, looking at it now, it just makes me so sad of where we're going for MMA and in particular the UFC. If we continue to push at this direction where we're just like having the UFC basically be a promotion for political ideas, like radical stuff, and just so much nonsense, like it's so disheartening, man. And it really, like, it's making me want to like watch other MMA stuff, which I'm actually gonna do, like the PFL with Usman and Dakotas. I'm actually gonna go watch that, and I'll make a vlog about that, so if you guys actually want to see that. But again, I don't want to leave this off with like talking about depression when it comes to the quality of the UFC. I do want to talk about something positive to end it off. Like, if you're upset with what's going on with the UFC and this whole White House thing, there are other promotions to watch. The PFL with Usman Nurmagomedov versus Archie Colgan and Dakota Devanches fighting in a couple of weeks. Those are great fights to watch if you want to watch actual MMA fights. Or, really the better one, Ryzen FC. So, there are other stuff to watch outside the UFC if you're not a fan about it. You know, at the end of the day, this is just me just ranting and just giving my thoughts on this whole White House thing. You know, I'm still going to always watch the UFC, and I'm still always going to talk about it because I am still passionate about MMA. At the end of the day, the UFC is the biggest MMA organization in the world by far. I just wanted to give my thoughts about what the current state is with the UFC and all that stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me ranting, and hopefully you guys didn't get upset with what I said. If you did, just give me an honest feedback and I will listen to you guys, you know? And without further ado, I will see you all in the next video.